Hello, beautiful souls. I'm so excited to be here today. For those of you that do not know me, I'm Dr. Toya Hodges, and today I want to talk about being stuck in life. Like, how many times do we feel like we're just stuck? It just feels like we're on this hamster wheel, just running real fast and getting nowhere in life. And this can include relationships, self care, personal goals. It just seems like no matter what happens, we deal with these challenges of just feeling stuck. And sometimes we feel like those feelings don't go away. In fact, we often feel like those intensify. And what ends up happening when some of these get so intensified that we choose to settle and just be like, you know what, this is just how my life is going to be, this is what it's supposed to be, so I'm just going to continue like this, and subconsciously what ends up happening is, without us even realizing it, is that we end up pushing our dreams and our goals further and further and further down. And what ends up happening is we reach this unbearable point in our life, and we choose, like, we finally get to the point like, I can't do this anymore. And it's like it kind of forces us to make change. And then we end up making these big changes. And then we start to see these drastic changes which end up making us finally feel free, and we finally start to tap into the things that we really, really want to tap into. And so the thing is I think so many people think it's so hard to make this happen. And that's not true. It really can be very simple changes that you would have to make. But what happens is when you're sitting in that place of stuckness, you don't have the creativity or the insight to see how to get out of it. And oftentimes, you don't even know why you're stuck in the first place. You don't know how you got there. You don't know how long you've been there. And you don't even recognize what is creating you being stuck. And so today, I just want to drop a couple things on you, because, of course, if you're going to listen to me, you're going to get a lesson. It's what teachers do. Okay, so why do we feel stuck? That's the number one question. Like, why do we feel stuck? What is causing us to feel stuck? And what is breaking us from just truly working toward our goals? And how we can shift that to where it is aligned, that we're actually showing up every day, working on the things that make us feel good, that show us who we really are at our core and what it is that we truly, truly desire. And so the thing is that one of the reasons we get stuck is because of this thing called false objectives. And what are false objectives? False objectives is one of the things that really keep us feeling stuck and frustrated. And the reason why is because we often build our lives according to what society tells us is successful. And what you've done is you've built your entire life on this false objective. And you're not going to feel fulfilled. You're going to end up feeling stuck because you're trapped in this hamster wheel of what society says you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing, and judging you. And so you create this false objective within you. And then what happens is you start to feel stuck because, according to what society standards are, you're checking all these boxes. But guess what? You feel unfulfilled. you feel miserable. And you're like, I have all this, but I'm not happy. So that leads into our second reason as to why we feel stuck is that we don't know who we are. Like we have spent so much time doing all these other things that we have forgotten who we are. We don't know what it is that we like. We don't know what we don't like. Like one of the things that I make my students do when they first come into my program is do a SWOT analysis on themselves. We need to know what your strengths are, what your gifts are, what your talents are, what your passions are, what your weaknesses are, what your threats, what are your opportunities. And the reason we do that is because so often we don't pay any of that any attention. We neglect ourselves because it doesn't fit what we feel our parents are expecting or our spouse is expecting or what our friends are expecting, but more so what society expects. And quite honestly, if none of us realize, society really doesn't care. Like, society doesn't have feelings. We have feelings, right? And so when we are not tapping into who we are, we're lying to ourselves and we're lying to others. And that's not who we want to be. The other thing that keeps us stuck is not showing our full capabilities. You can feel stuck if you're doing the work that doesn't allow you to maximize your innate strengths. So if you're doing work that doesn't bring out the best of who you are at the core, you're going to feel dissatisfied and you're going to feel like you're not reaching your fullest potential. But this goes for all areas in your life, like in your relationships, in your physical health, in your family, in your money, in your wealth satisfaction, your careers, obviously, in your spiritual wellness, in your mental strength. When you are stuck, you're not able to maximize your strengths in the 6 areas of your life that create fulfillment. So when you start to tap in and say, okay, what strengths do I have? And how can I utilize these strengths to the maximal capacity? Okay. And the next one of why we're not actually, well, let me rephrase that. Another reason that we're not actually able to tap into our strengths or we're constantly feeling stuck is that we don't have enough support. We think we can figure this out on our own. And that's not true. We need to surround ourselves with mentors and peers and coaches or whoever. Be around somebody that has achieved what you want to achieve. Because guess what? There's certain routines that we can follow that actually crave for us to do life differently. You know that saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend most of your time with. So look at those 5 people and get that understanding, right? So I want you to understand that being stuck is not always a bad thing because sometimes when we're stuck, that we need to understand why we're stuck, okay? And sometimes we think being stuck is when our life seems to be a little quiet, when there's not that many turns or twists, and we just kind of go with the flow. That, believe it or not, can make you and motivate you because so often we're taught that life has to be busy, 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 busy with all these to-do lists and you have to check off all these boxes. But sometimes it's actually good just to sit still for a minute. Okay. Now, Being stuck, what does being stuck do? There's really not a lot of fun in being stuck, and there's can be uh, a lot of disappointment and anxiety and stress, and that can come from being stuck. Okay. So, our goal today is that I really want to teach you that life can be easy and uncomplicated, and that progress does equal happiness because reaching a goal that we have is satisfying. But here's the thing, life is not about achieving goals all the time. Life is about who you become in the pursuit of those goals. That's the key is who are you becoming as you're pursuing your goals, not constantly having to achieve goals. I am the number one person that can sit here and talk about that because I have always been an overachiever. And I had to break that addiction because what I was doing was I was so focused on achieving the goals and checking the box that I was forgetting to live through those goals. And I was not being present for my life, and I was missing who I was becoming as I was pursuing those goals. Okay. All right. So, how can being stuck harm us? It really can harm us because if we never reach our full potential and we never tap into the highest levels of happiness and satisfaction, you feel like you are missing something. You feel like you can't make an impact on the world. You have this looming sense that there could be more into life. But feeling stuck also hinders our career growth. It also contributes to relationships. It also contributes to our wealth. Like being stuck impacts every aspect of our life. And it can end up leading to a huge midlife crisis when you get to that point if you feel like you have not been able to accomplish what it is that we like. And what is the number one thing that you feel snatches that away from us is our regret. Our regret takes that away from us. So let's tap into how we can flip this. So now we understand, how we can become stuck and how it can impact our life and how it impacts our health. Because if we're feeling stuck and we're living with so much regret and we're living with so much pain and animosity and hate and disappointment, that is stored in our body and that creates sickness and diseases. Okay. So part of you trying to get unstuck is to also help your physical health, your mental health, your emotional health, your financial health, your relationships health. All of those layers of health need to be addressed, and you can address them when you're unstuck. So how do we get unstuck? Right? The famous question. How do we get unstuck? Number one, set goals that actually matter to you. All right. And I know this probably sounds very obvious, especially when we're all being sucked with the false objectives at all times. But when you're setting goals in your personal life, make sure they're goals that matter to you. Like for real. For years, I suffered with my weight. But it was until I made the decision that I no longer wanted to suffer for my weight. And I started creating goals that mattered to me. It wasn't what people were trying to portray was beautiful and healthy and all that. It's what mattered to me. And when I'm working toward my goals now, they're aligned with my values and my priorities and who I am at the core. And to believe it or not, when you start setting those goals, that's where you actually fast track you're being stuckness. Like you fast track right through it because it takes that away from you. So go back and consider doing a SWOT analysis, like figure out what your strengths are, what your gifts are, what your passions are, and then choose goals that align with you at your core and also align with your inner strengths and gifts. This will help you maximize any potential that we have. And it's going to also or it's going to maximize your potential, but it's going to minimize you feeling stuck and frustrated. Okay. Number two, approach life differently. Like, start looking at life instead of feeling like you're being beat down all the time. Look at your life that you're making decisions that are focusing on what it is you desire. Like, I had to switch from feeling like I was always doing the same routine, that I was always stuck, that I didn't have the freedom to do the things that I wanted to do. But once I started focusing on my goals and they were being clear, I was then able to switch that mentality. Okay. So that's huge, is switching your mentality by listening to yourself talk and changing your mindset, saying, hey, this isn't who I am. I'm not living my life in autopilot mode anymore. I'm getting in the driver's seat and I'm taking control of my life. That every day I'm going to progress. Okay. The third way is to control your mindset. And that is so important because being mindful of our mindset and how we talk to ourselves is important to living any life that we want of freedom and fulfillment. Like for example, if you tell yourself, I could never start a business, I don't know how to start a business, but what if you retrain that? Yeah, you don't know how to start a business, but guess what? You can learn. There's people that can teach you. That's one of the things I teach, is teaching people how to start their business. And then we also teach about how to get unstuck, right? So, other things you tell yourself, I don't have enough money to travel. I don't have money right now. But the thing is rephrasing that to saying, I'm making a plan to save money so I'll be able to travel. And what happens is you start to see opportunities and possibilities versus feeling stuck. So take the things that you feel like you can't do and write those down and say, hey, how can I create this for myself? Because then that helps create your goals. Number four, ask yourself these questions every day. What am I going to do with what am I going to do? And what am I going to do today? Because it's important, because if you're asking yourself what you're going to do, you're living intentionally. And when we live in a busy world, living intentionally and focusing every day on what matters most is unique. So ask yourself these questions. What is it that I need to do today? What would my future self want me to do today? Or what will my future want me to do? Because here's the thing, if we're not making investments into our future life, then we're going to continue to stay stuck and frustrated. But if we tap in and say, hey, this future self of me, this best version of myself, this future of this person that is healthy and taking care of herself, how do I get to her? What's it going to take me to get to her? Because then what happens is we get focused on ourselves and we develop perseverance and we start to reap the benefits of our delayed gratification versus living in today's society where all they want us to do is have instant gratification. Number five, get out of your comfort zone. Realize this, every time you're willing to do something different, imagine you're staying here and then you're trying something different and you move here. Well, now your comfort zone is big a little further. Now our comfort zone is bigger. We just keep challenging it to at some point we no longer fear stepping out of our comfort zone because we have all of this proof that teaches us that once I get out of my comfort zone, I grow and I get bigger. Surround yourself with positive people. That is so important. That's and an audience. That's the books that you read. That's the TV shows that you watch. Motivating podcasts. You're listening to me every day. I know that's everybody's dreams and goals. I know it's all good. But anyway, I'm being serious. Like if you surround yourself with individuals that are funny and helping you grow, that is so important. Number 7, let go of what's no good. Things that don't make you happy. If you're in a relationship that don't make you happy and you realize it's not working and it's not improving and it's deteriorating, then maybe you need to consider, is this the right relationship to me? Start making lists of the people in your life that you want to share these. Start finding the people that have the characteristics that you like. Okay. The last one is to reassess, improve, and repeat. As I've said several times before, when we go to sleep at night, that version of us dies and the new version is updated. So every day we have the ability to reassess, improve, and repeat. Repeat the things that are good for us, reassess what worked and what didn't work, improve what didn't work, and then keep doing that daily, okay? I love you. I will see you